The movie begins in Nampyeong, South Korea. A young woman named Shin Rumi runs a successful fried chicken restaurant in a small neighborhood. An interviewer asks why she's working so hard at a young age. She explains that her father left when she was young, and she wants to work to help her mother. One night, a group of hired thugs awakens Rumi and drags her out of bed. Her mother tries to intervene, but they push her aside. She rushes to her van and drives through, attempting to deter them. The van crashes into a nearby wall, and the men forcibly drag her mother out of the vehicle. When she struggles to break free from their grasp, they drop her, causing her head to hit the sidewalk with a sickening crack, rendering her unconscious. The men hastily flee as the neighbors rush to Rumi's aid and transport her mother to the hospital. Unfortunately, her mother succumbs to her injuries during the surgery. Meanwhile, a meteor lands on the mountains, exposing the local spring with extraordinary energy. Rumi's father, Shin Sok-han, drinks the water from the spring but spits it out when it tastes terrible. Afterward, he goes to his job at the bank, where he works as a security guard. He offers coffee to the cleaning lady, and she's shocked to see he has a lot of coffee packets. He tells her he steals it from the waiting area for the customers in the bank. He also shows that he sometimes steals toilet paper and encourages her to do the same. He also complains about an upset stomach, which he blames on the spring water. When his shift ends, his superior scolds him for always being late, but he doesn't care. He also sees the cleaning lady's superior scolding her, having found all the coffee packets she took. Sok-han acts like he doesn't see anything and walks away, but he does think the cleaning lady is dumb for taking that many at once. Later, he drinks alone outside a convenience store when his stomach hurts badly. He closes his eyes in pain as he waits for it to subside. Unbeknownst to him, various objects around him begin to move on their own. Suddenly, all the tables and chairs around him move back as if an unseen force had pushed them, and his stomach pain disappears. The shop owner is angry about the mess created, so he tells him to leave, believing that Sok-han has drunk too much alcohol. Afterward, Sok-han goes home to a small, messy apartment. When he grabs a lighter, it suddenly flies directly into his hand. This shocks him, but he doesn't have much time to think about it as he receives a call. It's Rumi informing him of her mother's death and the subsequent funeral. Soon, he arrives at his ex-wife's wake, where he walks past Rumi. At first, he didn't recognize her as he hadn't seen her in years. He witnesses a confrontation between Rumi and President Min, who manages Tae-san's operations. Minute claims to be upset and stressed and also calls her delusional. But before Rumi hits Min, her lawyer, Kim Jung-hyun, cuts in and tells Min that the law should decide who is right. Min attempts to compensate Rumi for her loss, which she furiously rejects and demands that he leave. While the neighbors comfort her, Jung-hyun introduces himself to Sok-han and takes him around the neighborhood to show him the damage the thugs have done to the local businesses in the area. Sok-han is sad upon seeing a picture of Rumi. Jung-hyun continues to tell him that Tae-san Construction Company bought the land and plans to demolish all the buildings to build a large shopping mall for tourists without compensating the small business owners. Sok-han accuses Jung-hyun of only helping Rumi just to sleep with her. On his way home, he recalls how Rumi looked at him coldly and angrily threw away his cigarette. This action caused the nearby garbage pile to be thrown back as if he had pushed it without touching it. He recollects what he had done with the lighter and returns to his apartment. He attempts to make the lighter move again, and it suddenly flies toward his face. He does it again, and soon, the objects around him float. After her mother's funeral, Rumi and the others return to her neighborhood. They find that all shop owners have sought shelter in the shopping arcade because they fear the troublemakers loitering nearby. These troublemakers have been causing problems in the neighborhood by smashing windows, defacing shops with graffiti, and causing general chaos. Jung-hyun advises them to be patient as he plans to meet with the prosecutor soon. However, many believe Tae-san's company will use their money to influence the law. Rumi suggests they should guard the place overnight, but Sok-han thinks it will fail to work, and they'll force their way through. Mr. Kim suggests using Molotov cocktails, but Jung-hyun thinks it's a bad idea and believes it will make them look worse in the public's eyes. Sok-han believes it's too dangerous and suggests they all find new jobs. He also offers to help Rumi and pay for her college. This angers the neighbors, and they start yelling at him, so Rumi kicks him out. Later, Sok-han goes to a nightclub and shows his powers to the owner, who immediately hires him as a performer. The following day, Rumi and Jung-hyun meet with the prosecutor's supervisor. He tells them that the autopsy report isn't enough evidence. Their only other evidence was a dashboard camera from a nearby car. However, the owner claims it's fake, and they believe Tae-san bought him out. Afterward, Rumi arrives at her neighborhood, where Sok-han waits for her. He asks to talk privately with her. He tells her he wants her to live with him and go to college and that he'll earn enough money to support her. When he tries to demonstrate his newfound ability, Rumi accuses Sok-han of being an irresponsible parent. Sok-han tries to explain he left them to protect her and Rumi from the debts his friend left him, but Rumi doesn't believe him. After losing her mom so suddenly, she's desperately trying her best to win the fight because it's the only way she can survive, and his showing up after all these years isn't helping her. He walks away sadly but soon notices Min and his men getting in their cars, ready to attack, and decides to follow them. Back in the neighborhood, the shop owners become aware of this. Mrs. Kim gets the police while the others barricade the entrances. While they barricade themselves in the shopping arcade, Tae-san's thugs arrive and begin assaulting them. Sok-han arrives and uses his powers to fight off the assailants, leaving everybody around him in shock and wonder. The thugs get scared, and when one attempts to attack again, Sok-han twists his arm and makes him float in front of everyone. Mrs. Kim arrives with the police, taking them to the precinct, where both sides start arguing and blaming each other for what happened. The police officer watches the video showing Sok-han using his powers. However, the officer doesn't believe him, much to the amusement and delight of the shop owners. The shop owners finally win against Min and his men, and they start gaining some hope now they have Sok-han on their side, despite Rumi's reluctance to have him around. Later in the evening, Min's men are camping by the neighborhood and see some trash floating around, and they run away when they see their car floating as well. Sok-han uses his powers to create a barricade around the place to protect the neighborhood. When Jung-hyun asks him how he acquired these powers, Sok-han says he believes his ex-wife gave it to him so he could be a better father. The next day, Rumi gives an interview to a small local channel, hoping to get some support from the public. She reluctantly agrees to have lunch with her dad. She asks him to see a doctor in case his powers damage his body, but he swears he's okay. Meanwhile, Min and his assistant meet up with director Hong, the owner of Tae-san. She calls for her men to come in and beat Min up while she records herself on the phone. She pretends she doesn't know these violent people, but since she's also a victim, she doesn't get sued later. Hong is aware of Sok-han's powers because of the video. Min swears they could quickly evict all the shop owners if it weren't for him. Hong tells him she'll take care of it all. Later in the evening, a recording of Sok-han using his powers appears on TV, and a so-called expert claims he's using special shockwave weapons given to him by North Korea. Soon, two cops show up by the barricade to arrest Sok-han since his bank employers accuse him of theft. Thinking it's a misunderstanding that can be quickly cleared, Sok-han accepts to go with them, only to be handcuffed and kept in custody. Rumi calls Jung-hyun to ask for his help, and he promises to be there soon before picking up another call. The prosecutor informs him that one of Tae-san's employees has turned himself in for killing Rumi's mother, which is all part of Hong's plan. She orders Min to start another company under a different name and create a new contract to demolish the local businesses legally. She uses her connections to gain support from the police. She makes a diversion by having Sok-han arrested under false charges. After removing Sok-han from the situation, Min and his thugs order the riot police to destroy the barricade and arrest the shop owners. Jung-hyun calls Rumi to tell her all of this and asks her to run away, but Rumi hangs up on him after expressing her wish to fight until the end. Meanwhile, Hong visits Sok-han at the precinct to make him an offer. He will be declared a dangerous man because of his powers unless he agrees to work for her and her company. Hong says she'll give him time to think about it before giving him her business card and leaving. With the press around them, the cops try to advance against the barricade, but Rumi and her friends keep them at bay by using Molotov bombs. However, they have no choice but to run away when the police bring over an excavator to destroy the barricade. While everyone runs, Rumi falls and sees Mr. Kim stuck under some debris. She helps him get out, and the barricade explodes, nearly hitting them both. Rumi and the shop owners flee into the shopping arcade with the police in pursuit. The riot police manage to break through the barricade and surround the entrances. It's nearly impossible for Jung-hyun to get in to help. He calls Rumi and tells her everyone should escape to the roof, or they'll get arrested. When he sees the news, Sok-han breaks out of his jail cell and escapes the precinct by jumping through a window. He destroys Hong's car and musters the ability to fly. Rumi and the others all make it to the roof except for Mr. Kim, who is pushed off by the police and is left hanging on the railing of the stairs. After falling a few times, he arrives just in time to save the falling Mr. Kim. He arrives at the rooftop just as Jung-hyun reaches the roof of a nearby building and uses a ladder between both rooftops to cross over. The SWAT team arrives via a portable building suspended on a crane. They capture Rumi and drag her into the suspended building, but unfortunately, the crane malfunctions. An officer nearly falls out, and Rumi helps him. After handling the remaining police officers, Sok-han uses his powers to push them to the other roof in one go. He goes and helps his daughter by pulling the portable building close to the rooftop, But he loses control, and Rumi falls out. Sok-han swoops in and saves her before leaving her in the care of their escaped neighbors, and he tells Jung-hyun to take good care of Rumi before flying away to meet Min. He confronts Min, who is with the riot police, and punches him unconscious before turning himself to the police. Sok-han is released 4 years later, and Jung-hyun picks him up. Jung-hyun tells him about his engagement to Rumi. They visit Rumi's restaurant, which is now an empty and unoccupied lot. Jung-hyun explains that Tae-san's project ultimately did not turn a profit, and construction has been delayed. They arrive at Rumi's new restaurant, where Sok-han reunites with his daughter and the local shop owners. He then uses his powers to serve drinks to the customers, much to everyone's delight. The movie ends as it's revealed that Rumi named her new restaurant Superpower Chicken. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this to help the channel out. Have a nice day.